you have value. Play another video.
I'm Sophie Devine and I play cricket for New Zealand. I've been fortunate enough to call this my job for the last, well, showing my age here, 15 years. So I feel extremely grateful and humbled to call this my job. It doesn't matter what I do on the cricket field. And as an athlete, that's a really tough thing to understand, is because that's what you're judged so much on, is how you perform and what you do, whether it's runs, wickets, whether you're winning or losing, that's what you're judged on. And for me, having conversations with people just about me, not about my cricket or how I went in the weekend or whatever else, it was about me as a person. And that really taught me a lot, that, I have value as Sophie Devine, the person, not Sophie Devine, the cricketer. So you are the most important person. How you care about yourself is so important. And that's going to look different for everyone, and what you do to, I guess, keep your mental well-being, your, yourself well, looks different. A really good example is like a cup with holes in it. You can't keep giving from something that's leaking through. So for me, it is. You look after yourself first, and then you can be a bigger and better support to others. I think Etu Tangata is such an important part of breaking down this culture we have in New Zealand around tall poppy syndrome. I think athletes in particular are probably pretty well high regarded, but they're also probably the first to be cut down as well. I think I've probably experienced it a little bit in all forms, not just at an international level, but domestically as well. And think back even to school and things like that. Certainly being a female in a male-dominated sport, I had a lot of question marks around whether I was good enough, what am I doing there? Questions asked about my talent, and a lot about my gender as well, I guess, that a female shouldn't be here, and it sucked. It really sucked to be questioned like that. I felt like I wasn't supported by those that I was coming up against. I was really lucky that I had some really awesome people on my side, just teammates, coaches, things like that. But opposition and things like that, cutting you down, especially as a youngster growing up, is hurtful. And it sucks that you can't just support one another. And I think that's why it's so important that Etu Tangata is here to challenge those, I guess, those thoughts, those patterns of, culture that seem to keep coming up. So such an important role, hopefully, that we can start to change that culture. Remember, you have value, Etu Tangata.
Yeah, so Etu Tangata is not a program, which is hopefully great to hear. There's no, because we have so many programs, we wanted to intentionally create it to not be a program. So we're trying to shift mindset through shared language. And because of that, it means that you can implement these 3 strands: you have value, we succeed together, and others matter, in your context in whatever way fits or whatever way is needed. And because of that, these conversations are very, they're not linear, it's very, they move around and they intertwine and they interlink, and a lot of them are related to each other. But at a core, the you have value conversation is so key, and it's so important to have first, because if we're not aware of our own value, despite what we may achieve, if we're not aware that our value isn't defined by our achievements, then we'll always get caught out. And so, yeah, that's why this conversation is so important to have first. It's so important as a core understanding. On our website, Steve Hansen shares a video about you have value, and it's really cool. He talks about his life being like a bridge, and all of the runs on the bridge are all the things that remind him that he has value, all the things that remind him of his identity. And that's important, that it's not just one, because if he loses one, then he's still got the bridge. And so it means that, it's a great activity to do with your players as well, of actually reminding them of all the things that mean that they have value, because it means that if we lose one, we still have a bridge. And so, that's at a core. One of the ways that you can also implement this in a team setting is that for player of the day, you could have two. You could have standard player of the day, and then you could also have the Etu Tangata Award of the day, or the Culture Award of the day, or the Character, or whatever you want to call it. But we do have Etu Tangata Player of the Days on our resource kite as a way to give Player of the Day to someone that's displayed one of these values, or helped someone up when they fell down, or something like that. And so that way you're both honoring skill and working hard, but honoring character. And so you're giving value to both of those, rather than it just being the kid that scored like 5 goals. And so the questions that I would love you guys to think about, and feel free to kind of share your thoughts now, or open up discussion. But what reminds you that you have value, first of all, and then also in your setting, so with your coaches or with your players or so on, how can you remind them that they have value? And so these are these would be our two key questions to ask or to think about. Any kind of feedback around, do you have value?
Yeah, I'm asking a question that was asked by someone during the registration process. People who already have low self-esteem, do not have high opinion of themselves. How do you build that kind of person up?
Honestly, the biggest thing to do is just encouragement. And part of that, I think, will come up in one of the videos that I'll play soon. But yeah, honestly, the biggest thing is just finding things that you can encourage them about, and then slowly building that up. And because with a lot of young people, the reason why they have self-esteem, low self-esteem, is because because of the things that they're being told either by people or by social media, that they don't have value and that they don't have worth. And so if we're constantly encouraging them and telling them that they do have value and telling them that they do have worth, then them trying a sport that they potentially suck at is not a barrier, because they know that they have value despite whether they suck at it or not. And so encouragement and speaking to their value is so core to this.
If I could explain that a little bit more, they're just terrified of not meeting the standard, or not making a team. How would you address that situation? Like, they're good, but they're just terrified of not making it, or not meeting the expectations of their parents, or something
Yeah.
similar.
Again, I think still encouragement goes a long way. Like, just in building a kid up, and rather than tearing them down, goes a long way, because they're used to being torn down. And so if you're a coach or you're a selector or something, and you're kind of approaching them to build them up a little bit, or encourage them a little bit before the trial, that goes such a long way, because they're expecting to be torn down, because that's what we do. And so, yeah, bit of encouragement goes a long way, and reminding them of their value and saying, bro, like, you're such a fast runner, or you've got a speed bowl on you, whatever it is. And so, yeah, and I guess as people that are running teams or running clubs or whatever, it's important for us as well to know our value, so that then we can help our young people understand their value.